In this video and the second one, we will illustrate the approval system in Namasoft. The approval system is developed to prevent the effect of any document if it has not been approved yet. The approver user may be a specific user or many users. The approval may be straightforward. For example, the manager has to approve the document, or the system can be set to require many approvals from many users. In other words, the document may require many levels of approval. Also, the approval system may be at the level of lines. For example, one manager may approve some items in the sales invoice, and another manager approves the other items. In addition to that, from this screen tab, the approval may be set to be required via an email, an SMS, or a notification message on the system interface. Via the approval definition screen, we can define the required approvals. Via this field, you can determine the document or the master file screen to be approved. From this field, you can enter entity type list to apply the approval to many documents like sales, invoice, sales order, sales quotation, and so on. Also, the approval may apply according to some conditions. These conditions may be set via specific criteria or according to a specific query. For example, if the document is a loan document, you can set the system to require approval steps if the loan value is more than 10,000 and another approval steps if the loan value is less than 10,000. For instance, if the loan value equals £5,000, only the account manager has to approve. While if the value equals £10,000, the financial manager has to approve after the approval of the account manager. From these fields, we define when approval is required. It may be while inserting the record, or while updating the record, or while deleting. But note that the approval while updating works only with the master file. To activate this option with documents, you must select Allow Approvals on Documents Update in the Global Configuration screen. Approve a line to have the ability to approve some lines and refuse the other lines. For example, in the stock issue voucher, the responsible user may agree to issue some items and prevent issuing the others. Reject line, delete it. This option is selected to delete the lines that were not approved. Fallback employee. This field is required. In this field, you have to define an employee to approve when the user required to agree is absent or did not approve for any reason. In these two fields, you can define an alternate employee or many alternate employees who can approve rather than the user required to agree. The system will send the approval message for the user needed to approve and the alternate user. And each of them can approve the document instead of the other. Revise record on approval completion. When selecting this option, the system will mark the targeted document as reviewed upon approval. Via the steps table, you have to define the information required for each approval step. For each step, describe the person required to approve this step that is needed to approve. You can define the approver related to the current step from this field. Previous step supervisor. Select this option to define the approval of this step as the user's supervisor that approves the previous step. Initiator supervisor. If you select this option, the user required to approve this step will be the user's manager who created the record. For example, if the document to be approved is the sales invoice, the approver is the manager of the user that has created this sales invoice. The system recognizes the manager from the field supervisor on the employee window. From field option to link the approval with user defined in a specific field. For example, when you define the field salesman in the sales invoice, the salesman will be required to approve this step. To define the manager of the salesman, you can enter here salesman.supervisor. This way, I can link the approval with any field on the document to be approved. Also, you can define the document creator as the user required to approve. Or, approval may be required from a specific employee or a specific group of employees. Also, it can be linked with a specific criterion. Select this checkbox to force the user to enter a remark while approving the current step. From the Advanced Screen tab, you can define many settings. Select this option to display a message for the record's initiator. This message will acknowledge him that the document will require approval. For example, if the approval is related to a vacation document, we can define in this field the message to be displayed to the user such that the vacation will require approval from the general manager. From this field, you can use the template language of Namasoft to define a message displayed to the approver user. For example, you can enter the sentence "Vacation document has been created, approval required." In this message, you can define the document number and the employee's vacation. This template may be sent through a notification on the user interface, via email, or by SMS message. If via an email, you can define a specific report to be sent to the email of the user that is required to approve. The next video will illustrate the approval system via a simple example.